tutoke gizani na tutoke katika mwili. Haleluya! Kinachoingia na hapa utoka na hapa, kisipotoka na hapa kitatoka na wapi? Nasema urongo jameni. Na ndiyo maana unaona malaya, kahaba, mzinzi, msherati na mwizi, muongo anaenda kwa taratibu ya utakatifu apokee sakramenti kwa padri, kisha ajishwe aende, maana amebeba we, na apige magoti na aitie hapa na apige zile za hii amezi, na akitoka hapo nyumbani kwake saa 8 amesikia mavi, anaviacha chooni, kisha anatoka anaenda mlango wa baa. Hana hukumu, hakuna kitu Mungu anamhukumu huyo mtu, kwa sababu alikula chapati ndogo, na kwa sababu chapati yapitana hapa, ni haki yake itoke na hapa, na kisha akaenda baa vizuri.
Religion is a tool meant to enlighten a human being. Religion was a tool made by people or individuals who decided to create a way of living that will be a goodness to all things that live. In most religions, you'll find teachers who taught a wise way of living. So in all these religions, or in most of these religions, we have great teachers who taught the masses ways of how to live with other people in a peaceful way, in a way that they will become manifestations of goodness, of that which is deserving heaven. So in all religions, we are taught, or we learn and read of individuals like Jesus of Nazareth, individuals like Muhammad, individuals like Gautama the Buddha, individuals like Krishna. In all these people like Zeno, the source of Stoic philosophies, individuals like Zoroaster. These individuals were wise masters. These were great teachers. These were true embodiments of what it would mean to live a just life. These were embodiments. These were the crystallization of goodness, of a goodness that harms no other living form. So these individuals, or these great teachers, were kind of examples, living examples, that it was possible for a human being to exist in this world and lead a wise form of life, or a wise kind of life. So these individuals, these great teachers, lived and existed in this world, the same world that we live in, and they became embodiments, or we are taught of people who came and manifested the will of the source of all living forms. So these great teachers were kind of representations of that which is the source and the origin and essence of every living form. So these great masters and mystics and teachers like Jesus, like Zoroaster, like Buddha, like Krishna, all these great mystics and great embodiments of wisdom and of enlightenment, all these were given to the masses with a purpose of taking a man or a human being to a state of knowing that which unites all living forms. One is destined to reach a state where one identifies with that which is the origin and essence and the enabler of all our diverse living forms. So as these living forms, we differ. So as living forms, there is you as an individual living form, you listening and perceiving this audiovisual. And when identified with that which enables or is the source of all living forms, then you will discriminate and do no harm to any living form. All these living forms are manifestations of you as the essence or your source. So through your source, all living forms are enabled, and so you see all living forms as brothers and sisters, originating and having their essence or their core as that source of all living forms. So when one is identified with the source of all living forms, one is kind of holy, in the sense that one is all inclusive. One sees the work of his or her own source, that which he or she reveres, in the face of every living form. So every living form is seen as to possess that life-giving spirit. Every living form is seen to possess or to manifest and express that which is life in all things that live. So that which is the source of all living forms is noticed and acknowledged through the facilitation of these religious books or these religious great teachers. So you might take a Bible or a Quran or a Bhagavad Gita or Zoroastrian texts or the texts of Zeno, of Citium. When you read these texts or their teachings, you will tend to become wiser, you will tend to become knowledgeable, you will tend to become more compassionate. They will take you to a state of wisdom, of enlightenment. So these were kind of um, rememberable or wisdom that was unforgettable. These were individuals who some lived thousands of years ago. Almost all of them lived a lot of centuries ago, but they still remain necessary. Their teachings still remain usable in our present age. These are kind of embodiments of the wisdom of all ages. What they taught is usable as far as man lives in this world. So religion in its core, it's an embodiment, or it takes one to embodying the source of all living forms. Religion in its core takes a human being from being a mortal to discovering immortality and eternity and talking and expressing that which will be the wisdom of all ages, the wisdom of all living individuals. So this wisdom is usable to all humanity that visit this planet. They left imprints. These great teachers left imprints that can be embodied or can be made alive or that can be revived through anybody who practices this wisdom. So the wisdoms like give and it shall be given unto you, that is a wisdom that if you practice it, you'll see the truth in it. So the truth in something makes it kind of immortal. When you taste it, you'll see it. So a philosophy like forgive and you shall be forgiven. These philosophies are applicable to any human being that visits this world. So these are kind of these individuals like Zoroaster, like Zen of Citium, like Siddhartha or Buddha, people like Jesus of Nazareth, Krishna, Muhammad. All these individuals were the embodiments of the highest forms of virtue. These were embodiments of human living. These were embodiments of rightful living. These were embodiments of humans who lived and know and understood and identified as their source. And so in all living forms, they only saw one source, they only saw one author in all our stories. So these great mystics and great teachers identified with the union of all living forms. They identified with that true unity, that oneness, that essence, that from all things get and acquire their life. So when you see anything living, you see that which is life in you, and you see that which enables all life to happen in this planet. So when you acknowledge that, then you won't harm any living form. Harming another living form will be harming another extension of you as life. Harming another living form will be harming byproduct of that which the source of all living forms made. So until next time, peace.